In today's video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to analyze a rental property in about 10 minutes. So we are not going to bring out 100 different spreadsheets and do 20-year forecasts and spend 4 hours analyzing one deal. I'm going to show you a deal I actually just recently purchased, a few others that I was looking at, so you know in about 10 minutes how to analyze a rental property. We are going to keep it nice and simple for the people that are bad at math, like myself. And just a little background from where I'm coming from with this advice and information. At the time of this recording, I own about $3 million worth of rental properties, mostly small multifamily, and combined they make about 6 figures per year in income that I take home. So I'm not just giving, this advice is not coming out of left field. For some reason in real estate investing and online marketing and just business in general, the amount of unqualified people giving you advice is insane. People should come with disclaimers before they give advice as if they're saying it with absolute certainty. Just advice I've heard from different real estate agents and different people on my YouTube channel, real estate investing in general, just completely unqualified. I promise on this channel I will only talk about things that I am qualified. I will give you a full disclaimer on everything. And that being said, let's jump into it. So first of all, what's the point of even buying rental properties? Well, if you buy rental properties, this is the one that I just purchased, you want to get enough of these to the point where you're financially free and you can live on a beach if that's something you want to do. And you want to trade these up, these little green guys, for the big red, hotels, just like Monopoly. It's the same idea. And there's ways to do that, which I'll talk about in this video. And let's just take a look at this deal that I just purchased. So the first thing you want to look at with a rental property is the 1% rule. This is how I evaluate rental properties that are, small multifamily, smaller rental type properties. The 1% rule, basically, if a property costs $300,000, that's what you're going to purchase it for. Your monthly rent should be about 1% of that. That would be the 1% rule, meaning the rent should be about $3,000. So this property I just purchased, it says it sold for $228,000. I actually purchased it for $290,000, and I paid the wholesaler a pretty substantial fee because he brought me a great deal. And this Redfin estimate is actually completely off. And actually, Redfin estimates are usually good. They're brokerage. But the Redfin estimate is actually usually pretty good. For some reason, this one, I think because it's a little bit smaller, it might be off a little bit. And my knock against Redfin, of course, is that they're a discount brokerage. So if you've ever worked with a discount brokerage, you're going to have to hold on tight to your seats, buckle up. It's going to be a rocky ride. You don't know what's going to happen. A lot of these discount agents really are brand new. And, if you want to go the pay less shoes route of purchasing a house, you can. But I wouldn't recommend that for buying a house. There are better ways of saving money than using a discount broker, like just finding a good deal. But I bought it for $290,000. So purchase price $290,000, right? Not a bad deal for a single family house in Washington, D.C. Tell me when you can find one of those in 2021 or any time in the last couple of years. So if I'm buying the deal for $290,000, right? It needs to meet the 1% formula. So it should be at about $3,000. Now, the way you find the gross potential rent every single month is this. I like to go Section 8. I like to go to DC approved rents, and every city is going to have this. This is one way to find the rental income. I like Section 8 because it's just guaranteed rent from the government, and what's better than that? So this neighborhood is called Deanwood. Nice little neighborhood. If you're in Deanwood, stop by, say what's up. And this property, it's 2 units. So on one level, there's 2 bedrooms, 1,552 without utilities. And it's a 2-unit building, so there's 2 of these. So 1,552 times 2, that's about 3,104. And I do have to put a little bit of money into this property. It's not like in currently rented condition. So I'm gonna put about $25,000. So in total, that's going to, bring me to about $315. So I'll be like pretty close. It's not going to be exact, but it's pretty freaking close. And it's such a cheap property. And if I were to look at most deals in Washington, D.C., anyone that knows the D.C. market, it's very hard, especially in Washington, D.C. Yeah, you go to PG County, you go other places, you can find 1%. But in Washington, D.C., it's pretty hard to find the 1% rule. So if you're anywhere close, if you're in an expensive market and you can get anywhere even close to the 1% rule, it's probably a good deal. But what makes it an even better deal is the flip potential. So when I purchase a rental property, I like to be able to sell it as a flip if I had to just like liquidate it. So this deal actually works out from a flip perspective as well as a rental perspective. So here's my flip calculator, and you can download this all for free on my website. I'll put the link below. But this property would sell for maybe about $425 in as-is condition. And I purchased it for $290,000. And let's just say we'll put $10,000 of repairs into it. And so that would be a profit of 80,000. And I think this 425 number might be a little high because this duplex was actually kind of small. So let's just say, let's be extra conservative, say 375. So worst case scenario, I'd be making, 30, probably a little bit more than that as a flip. So I like running them as rentals and flips. I don't know if I've said that enough times, but that would be the way number one to evaluate if it's a good rental deal. And if you don't want to do Section 8, you can find out the rent. You can just go on Craigslist and search by, just 2-bedroom apartments in Deanwood or wherever your neighborhood is. Or you can go to, I think it's like Rentometer, and that can show you exactly, this shows you how to get rental comps. So let's just try this real quick. Let's see how accurate it is. Okay, so it says the average is about 1,300, which is pretty interesting, because I can actually get 1,500 with Section 8. So a lot of people think you're paying less for Section 8. Section 8, sometimes you can actually get more. So I'd be in the 70. I'd be higher than the 75th percentile. So, and it's guaranteed. So yeah, I would use Rentometer, Section 8, and Craigslist, and you can get a good idea of the gross rental income. And one thing to add is that there will be cities where a lot of properties actually meet the 1% rule, like maybe Detroit or Atlanta or Baltimore or different places. And so in that scenario, some people wanted to be at the 2% rule, because if you're in some neighborhoods, you really want to have that margin of safety there. So if every single property meets the 1% rule, which is not the case in DC, if I were to look at these deals, most will not meet the 1% rule. Basically, none of them will. Then you want to be more conservative and go for the 2% rule, which basically just states that 2% of the purchase price should be the equivalent of the monthly gross income. Now, the next formula we're going to use to look at deals, and I don't bring this out too much. This is better for more like larger multifamily properties, but we're going to look at cap rate and NOI and that type of thing in just a minute. So the gross rental income on this, we already saw, it was $1,500 per month times 2, so that was $3,104 per month times 12 months equals 37,248. So this would be the gross monthly or gross yearly income. So this is how we're going to get cap rate. So although we're getting $37,000 per year gross, there's going to be some expenses like any rental property. So we put 5% for vacancies, 5% for maintenance, 10% property management, 5% capital expenses. So that brings us to a grand total of 25% that we're going to take away from this number. So probably just multiply this times 0.75 to get our net operating income. And if you're doing larger multifamily, usually people use like actually 50% to take into account all these things. But this is kind of like a small rental property. It's not going to be 50%. So our net operating income for this one will be, give me a second here, $27,936. So this is what we can expect to make. This does not include our mortgage, right? So this is just, the net income. And my favorite place to actually get a good idea of what your mortgage would be is just the Zillow mortgage calculator. You just go there. This house price was $290. I actually got a private money loan. I'm doing some refinancing and some other stuff. But for the purposes of this, just say you purchased it as a rental property. Typically, a bank is going to want like 25% down. However, if you get a good deal, they really only need about 25% equity. So you might only have to put down 10%. Let's just say I put down 20%, $300,000. Here's the interest rate. If it's a condo, you might add some condo fees, HOA dues, but this is not one of those. So my rough estimate would be about $1,575. Obviously it grosses, $3,104 per month. So there's a good margin in there, about $1,500 of gross, income every single month. And then actually, if we take the NOI, divide that by 12, divided by 12 equals 2,328 per month that we would probably get, like conservatively, that would be the net, and then we would minus it from the 1575, and that would give us about $753 in cash flow every single month. And that's a pretty good amount. That's my brother's Tesla payment right there, Matt, if you're watching this.
What's up, guys? This is my brand new Model Y.
I'm coming. I need to step up my car game a little bit, so I might have to get a Tesla pretty soon. He just got a pretty nice one. But overall, this is a good number to use. 25, basically just take away about 25% for like just a rental property. If it's like a 10, 20, 30 unit, you might have to get to more like the 40, 50%. But for these small ones, 25% is good. You can use these same exact numbers and get your NOI pretty quickly. And then the cap rate is very easy to do. To get the cap rate, you just take the NOI, so it's 27,976, divided by the purchase price of 290. So that equals about a 9.6% cap rate, which is pretty good. Usually in expensive markets, like if you're in San Francisco, New York City, the cap rates might be like 4, 5, 6, 7%. So anything really around 10% is usually pretty good if you're in an expensive market. If you're in Detroit or Baltimore and these areas that don't ever appreciate in value, the cap rates might be a little bit higher. So that's just something to keep in mind. But generally speaking, if you're still analyzing the deal and you're not sure, just look at the last 5 or 10 deals that have sold, and then try to be at the higher end of the cap rates, if not the highest, as far as the recent sales have gone. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but cap rate is just basically the rate of return if you paid all cash for a property. So if you had no mortgage, paid all cash, this is your rate of return. So just something to keep in mind. The next formula we're going to use to look at rental properties is called the cash on cash return. So again, I don't get too much into this. Usually I stick to more of the 1% flip rule, cap rate, but this is just a good quick way to see what type of return you're getting. So you would take the NOI, the net operating income, which we already determined was this amount right here. And like I said, you get the NOI from taking the gross income, doing about 25% for all this vacancies, expenses, management, which brings you your NOI of $27,000. And then we did the mortgage payment was about $1,575 per month, assuming a 20% down, $300K sales price, 4% interest rate. So this is just an example again. And that brings us to a yearly mortgage payment of about $19,000. And then to get the cash on cash, we include the down payment, closing costs, repairs, just all the cash that you put into it. So you would take, first of all, you would take the NOI, which is $27,936. You would subtract that from the yearly mortgage payment of $18,900, and this would give you $9,036. And then actually you're supposed to divide that by the cash you put into the deal, and then that equals your cash on cash return. So in this case, we put down $60,000. Let's call it another 3% for closing costs. So let's just say we put in $70,000 total. And then let's say we even put in $10,000 for repairs. So that's $80,000 into the deal. And not all rental deals are like this. You can do deals where you only have to put down 3.5% like FHA if you're house hacking, so you don't need to put $80,000. Not many people have $80,000. This is just an example. So then we would divide that by $80,000. So 9,036 divided by 80,000 equals 11% cash on cash return. Which is pretty good. Not bad. I like getting double digits on my money. I don't know about you. So that's how you analyze a rental property. And if you want to know how to actually find these deals, how I find these deals on a consistent basis that are discounted, that have a ton of equity, cash flow, everything like that, watch the video below on PropStream. I just basically go over exactly how I find these deals in quote unquote one of the most, competitive markets out there. Everyone says their market's competitive. Washington, D.C. is pretty competitive, but that's how I find these deals on a regular basis. So watch that video, sign up for PropStream, use it. And I'll put these formulas just in the comment section below so you can see them. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Be sure to watch this video right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.